When it comes to the Bronny James saga, Bronny in his own story is playing second fiddle to the narratives of the NBA media. As when it comes to media, the whole Bronny James fiasco is a massive indictment on them. Now, looking at the Bronny James hype train, the guy at the tip of the spear is of course Rich Paul. And this guy, per usual, has every excuse in the book for Bronny James.
You know, people decide to honor or dishonor whatever they want, right? So you look past the medical thing. Oh, he should just be this superhuman of a young man and average 55 points a game, as we know.
So stopping it right there, Rich Paul off the bat, disingenuous as always. As when it comes to critics of Bronny and his game, all of us acknowledge this guy had a cardiac incident before his freshman year at USC. Everyone acknowledges that and knows that happened. Now, the second thing Rich Paul did that was very sneaky and slimy was inflate the critics and their expectations, as what he said verbatim is the critics want Bronny to be superhuman and average 55 points per game.
He should just be this superhuman of a young man and average 55 points a game.
Why are you the way that you are?
What Rich Paul is doing right here is painting the critics of Bronny as a caricature of what they actually are. Nobody, even the harshest critic of Bronny, is saying this guy should score 50 points on a nightly basis. At this point, I'll settle for 10 points, or heck, even one made three-pointer in Summer League.
Inside the arena audience, as well as a television audience.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The bar for Bronny, in my mind, was extremely low coming into the Summer League. And still, despite the bar being that low, Bronny hasn't cleared it. That's how bad he's been in the Summer League and how bad he was at USC. And again, nobody is saying this guy has to score 50 points, 40 points, even 30 points. Just crack like 8 points on 45% shooting. Is that too much to ask?
Some people's game and some people's development is not for the collegiate game. I personally think you develop better at a pro level. Why? Because there's more intention on your development. At the collegiate level, every game, depending on what school you go to, is the championship game, right? There's a necessity to win a conference championship. There's a necessity to get to the 64 pool and then the Elite Eight. There's a
Now, stopping Rich Paul right there, again, what he's doing is shifting the blame from Bronny onto someone else. In this clip, who gets the blame? The college coaches and the college system. And look, the NCAA, of course, is far from perfect, and as a governing body, not the biggest fan of it. But blaming college basketball for a certain player not developing their game, that's kind of a cop-out. And Rich Paul right here kind of peels back the onion of the Klutch sports mindset. As in this clip, what is he talking about? The USC team, the team, winning games, conference championships, and making the March Madness tournament. That is the team's success, not the player's success. And for Rich Paul, that doesn't jive with Klutch sports. As at Klutch sports, it's about me, not we. Forget winning basketball, it's about my development and my future.
Hello? You play to win the game.
And one last thing Rich Paul excused Bronny from was saying in college every game is, quote, like a championship. USC last year had a record of 15-18. They were unranked the entire season. This USC team every game wasn't, quote, competing for championships.
How would coach substitution patterns go? And if I'm a highly touted kid, and this is even talking about Bronny, this is any kid in our industry that's aspiring to be a pro. If I'm a highly touted kid, ranked, whatever you want to call it, yeah, I believe in myself, but there's some things that's out of my control. And if I go to this school, and if you tell me on your couch, or my couch, and me and my parents, this is what I'm going to do for you, and then I get to this school, and it's totally different, all I'm focused on is going pro. That's it. And every time I have a bad game or a bad possession or anything like that, The one thing that's on my mind, especially for the guys that's consistently on a mock draft, is this is hurting my stock.
So Rich Paul right here, 100% not talking about Bronny James and his career at USC. Even though what he's describing is Bronny's career at USC to a T. And again, the Klutch Sports mindset shining through everything.
All I'm focused on is going pro.
And Rich Paul right here, much like LeBron James, throwing a coach under the bus. As when it comes to Bronny's poor play, it's not on Bronny, it's on the coach, his selling patterns, his lineups. You know, it's the coach's problem, not Bronny. Well, if that's actually true, let's look at Bronny James when he got minutes for USC. I mean, big time starter minutes. It was a 9-game stretch from the mid-season point. Bronny in these 9 games, 24 minutes per game, which out of a 40-minute game, pretty significant. And out of the 9 games, started 6 of them. Bronny in those games, almost 6 points, 4 boards, 3.5 assists, but shooting wise, 33%, 30% from 3, and below 70% from the free throw line. Now look, those stats compared to his summer league stats, actually somehow an improvement. But for a high quality college basketball player, a high quality draft pick, I mean, not the greatest thing in the world. And look, my overall point is pretty simple. At some point the finger has to be pointed at yourself and some accountability has to be taken. Now, speaking of accountability, when it comes to Gilbert Arenas, much like Rich Paul, there is none for Bronny James.
So actually, Bronny might play better once the season starts because he'll be going against the same person every day.
It's history. They all do. Trey
I'm
Young.
like, you know.
Do y'all know Trey Young's shooting percentage? 4 for 26 from the three-point line.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown. Do you
It's
know
easier.
what they said about him in Summer League? He was the 3rd pick in the NBA draft. The 3rd pick in the NBA draft. The first 3 games, just like Bronny. Bronny was 6 for 26. Jaylen Brown was 5 for 26 from the field in his first 3 games in Summer League.
So stopping the stupidity right there, that is the dumbest possible comparison you could make. As trying to equate Jaylen Brown and Trae Young as NBA prospects to someone like Bronny, it's downright delusional. And look, when it comes to Summer League, yes, certain players play well, others struggle. But here's the difference. Both Jaylen and Trae in college, they were proven commodities, and as NBA prospects, high caliber prospects. Jaylen in his draft, the 3rd pick, Trae in his draft, the 5th pick. And as far as I'm concerned, both those guys earned that ranking and earned their draft pick. Now here's the big time difference. Jaylen in college, 15 points per game, all freshman, all Pac-12, the Pac-12 Rookie of the Year, and top 10 in defensive rating. Jaylen in college for 1 year was downright phenomenal. And of course an NBA prospect, 6'7", a great build, and kind of fit the mold of where the NBA was going. Trae Young in college, what was he called? Steph Curry 2.0. As in 1 year in college, 1st in points per game, and 1st in assists. An All-American, All-Conference team, the whole 9 yards. Jaylen and Trae in college, they were great college players. And here's the thing, Bronny James, even in college, was never even average.
You suck!
So of course when Jaylen and Trae in Summer League, they struggle, they can't shoot, they have a rough going. They're going to get more leeway than someone like Bronny, who even in college was never above average on the floor. And I mean, looking at Bronny's Summer League thus far, his shooting splits, points per game, all that stuff, it's downright abysmal. And still I'd say Bronny in Summer League has gotten a lot of leeway. As despite the bad shooting being a brick and lackadaisical defense, this guy still for the Lakers is starting games. If that was any other 2nd round pick, Joe Schmo, they'd either be benched, cut, or sent to the G League on the spot. And coincidentally enough, Jaylen Brown earlier this week said the exact same thing. As when it comes to Bronny, the only reason he'll make the team is with his dad and his last name.
Listen, Rashad, it's a lot of niggas that went to Summer League that was trash.
Trash.
They did nothing. And then they got to that training camp and they got in that practice with the players that they know they're going against every day. It's different.
It's different. You learn.
Because I know his game and I know, like, I don't have to worry
Your
about Summer
finals
League.
MVP,
Like, Summer League, you don't know who you're
your
going
finals
against.
MVP was 5 for 26. in summer league, and no one bashed him.
Come on,
No one
bro.
said you
Nah, that's
shouldn't be
real,
here.
bro.
No one did nothing. Go
not
through the process,
talking
young
about
fella.
that.
Now, that right there is our last clip. And this right here, it was a doozy. What these guys are trying to tell you is don't believe your lying eyes. Bronny in college stunk it up, he was awful. Ignore that. Bronny in Summer League was awful. Ignore that too. But here's the kicker. When he gets to training camp finally, he's going to turn it on and be a completely different player. That right there is sheer delusion. And it's borderline like cult-type behavior where no matter what happens in reality, in real life, your beliefs are set in stone. And Gilbert yet again bringing up Jaylen Brown, 5 for 26 in Summer League. Well look, Jaylen Brown back then is a 6'7" small forward who could play defense. Bronny right now is a 6'1" tweener who can't shoot, dribble, pass, playmake, or really even play competent defense. And here's the big time difference. Scouts back in 2016 going 2017, they knew Jaylen was a very good player. For Bronny James was a scouting report. This guy isn't NBA ready, go back to college. That's why this comparison, it's apples to oranges. And I have to ask yet again, at what point is it your fault when you keep failing at various levels? If I go to one job, get fired, one job and fired. The next job, fired again, okay, 2 times, maybe something's going on. But a 3rd time you get fired, the problem might be you and not your employer. For the delusional Bronny James fans, at what point is it not the coaches, the college system, the fans, the critics, or the scouts? At what point is it Bronny James? When you get there, let me know.